Hey everyone, it's Paul with the Bull Profits for this Tuesday. So this week I want to talk about blockchain. And many people probably have heard or are beginning to hear about this thing called a blockchain, mostly because of the huge, astonishing price rise in Bitcoin. And today I want to spend a little bit of time telling you about blockchain, what is going on, why I believe it's going to be massive, huge, phenomenally just a big blockbuster technology that's going to generate gains in lots of different places. And I'm going to point you to three places where you could put your money into that we have focused on across our services to benefit from like the adoption and the unfolding of blockchain as it pushes out. So in very brief form, what a blockchain is it's a technology that sort of interlocks pieces of data and where it gives access to people to that data only if you allow them. And a great example of this might be something like, say, when you go to apply for home insurance. Let's say when you bought a home and you need homeowners insurance. Right now, there's like a huge process you have to go through to get home insurance, which is that you would have to call an insurance agent. The insurance agent will ask you all these details about your house, which you may or may not know because, well, you just bought it, and maybe it's a 50-year-old house, maybe it's an even older house, and it has all these details that you're unaware. You guess at some of the answers, or you have to call other people to get the answers, and you give them all this information. Then they ask you about what coverage you want for the house, what's required by the state or city. Then they give you a quote. Then obviously you have to pay for it. Then you have to give proof of coverage to your mortgage broker to get your mortgage. And all of this is so many different steps, so many different calls, so many different people. And you can eliminate pretty much everything other than telling folks what the amount of level of coverage you want, which may be related to how much money you have and how much protection you want. However, all the other steps could be eliminated by the blockchain by simply encoding all of that data into a chain and then allowing the insurance company to have access to all of that data. So you no longer need to access it. And then you allow your mortgage broker to have access to that data. So you don't have to provide all of that data. In other words, it eliminates an extraordinary level of paperwork that now needs to be replicated at your insurance broker, at your mortgage broker, then maybe at the county level, city level, state level, all of these records, which are needed by all of these different people in different ways at different times. If you simply allow it to sit on a blockchain and permission people to access it, now you can eliminate all of this need to keep this paperwork, constantly provide to different people. And it also then has the additional elements of being able to move a lot faster because people are forced to wait when you lack this information. And then there is also the element of trust. In other words, oftentimes transactions sit around because people aren't sure if people are going to follow through. And by putting everything on the blockchain that is visible to all the people that have been given access to it, now everyone can see, yep, that mortgage, that insurance payment has been made. So now we can go forward with the mortgage. And now if you think about all the other transactions that require lots of different people to have access to information to move on, you can understand the power of implementing blockchain, let's say in the real estate industry, or pretty much for anything that involves a transaction with more than one person, where a lot of people need to look into it. So the promise of blockchain is just extraordinary in terms of its implementation, and it's going to revolutionize the world of transactions, which is the essence of human existence. If you just think about everything that we do, renting an apartment or a house, buying a car, leasing a car, buying a house, buying insurance. There are just so many different things where records come into play and trust comes into play and the timing of payments comes into play. And blockchain can solve or at least address many of the problems so as to shrink the number of issues that can come up. So I put up a tweet recently on my Twitter account, and you'll see it here, saying blockchain boom coming, and the worldwide spending on blockchain, which in 2018 was 1.5 billion, is expected to get to 15.9 billion. And on the side of that statistic is where the spending is going to be. And no surprise that as much as 30% is banking, and 50%, the other side, is definitely going to be in places like insurance and other places that I mentioned, where the implementation of blockchain means simpler, more access, and cheaper, which is the essence of innovation. And blockchain, in my judgment, is going to really completely revolutionize the world of banking and insurance, where it can really change things and change things to make things so significantly easier. So blockchain, definitely a revolution. Its time is here. Those numbers telling you about the size that's going to come in 2023, which is just 2 years away. And I actually think that number actually is crazy small. 15, 16 billion to me seems like just really, the beginnings of it. It's going to be, in my judgment, 5, maybe 10 times that if you even extend it out, maybe a couple of extra years, because the banking industry is, it has transactions that are in the trillions of dollars. The insurance industry is the same. These are very large industries with a lot of transaction volume. So 15, 16 billion seems like very, very little. So I believe it's going to be significantly higher than that. And I believe that if you want to have want to get the benefit of that, the time to buy into is now. And the 3 ways that you can do it, which, by the way, is in all of our services, including our flagship service, which is called Profits Unlimited. If you're interested in that, go to profitsunlimited.com. There's an offer there for $47 from my publisher that you can subscribe to. And we're all into all of these 3 areas that I'm about to tell you about with respect to how to get into blockchain. So the first area, many people who have been watching this YouTube channel, and also this is a moment to ask you to give us a thumbs up if you've liked the content on this channel. Please subscribe to our channel and comment below with respect to anything that you see about this video with respect to blockchain or the 3 areas that I'm going to mention. So the first area, as I was beginning to say, I've talked about a great deal on this channel, which is, what is blockchain going to require? Well, it's going to require a lot of computing power, because you're going to have a lot of information, and to be able to use blockchain to genuinely make our lives easier, we need this to happen pretty fast. I mean, for us to go punch in a query to find, where something is on some blockchain, and for it to get it 20 days from now, or even 1 week from now, that is missing the promise of blockchain. The idea of blockchain is this data is there and it's accessible like that in a few seconds, in a few minutes. Worst case scenario, if the blockchain is very busy, maybe it takes 15 or 20 minutes, or that compares to days and weeks and even sometimes even months, in terms of what we can do. So chips, computer chips, semiconductors, whatever you want to call it, this is one way to get at the spending that is going to happen to make the blockchain happen. So the easiest way to get in then is to buy into an ETF that's got a lot of computer chip companies that address a lot of different needs beyond blockchain. Nonetheless, it'll give you sort of generalized access. If you want more specific access, and that's what our services are good at. We are laser focused on single companies and recommending those to you through our model portfolios. However, for general access, you can buy into SMH, which is an ETF, a semiconductor chip ETF that I've been telling people about for several years now. And this will give you wide, broad access to chip companies, including chip companies that are really going to benefit from the adoption and rollout of blockchain. So that's area number 1, chip companies. SMH is the semiconductor ETF that give you broad access to blockchain exposure. The second way is to buy into cloud computing companies, because what is all of this, where is all this information going to sit? Well, it's going to have to sit on servers. And it's going to sit on servers where they have to be organized in a certain way so that when you go to access this blockchain, it comes at you once again pretty fast, and it's accessible. It's accessible to a lot of people all at once. And that's going to take a lot of storage and computing power. And so you need very efficient storage, very fast storage. And the way you can get that is then to buy into cloud computing companies that really give you exposure to that. And in truth, you could get that from very large companies like Microsoft and Google that have very large cloud computing businesses, or Amazon as well. However, to get bigger gains, you probably want slightly smaller companies. And once again, I know I'm plugging our services. That's the kind of thing that we do. We point you to single companies that you can invest in through our services. However, you can also get it through generalized access through an ETF. And one of the ETFs that I've talked about is the cloud computing ETF, which has the ticker symbol CLOU. I've also mentioned another ETF in the past, which has the ticker symbol SKYY, which is another cloud computing ETFs. And both of those, which have similar companies. So don't buy both of them, just pick one of them and buy those, because they're very similar companies in there. They have some differences as well. Nonetheless, they give you similar exposure. So don't double your exposure by buying both, just buy one. It will give you access to a wide array of cloud computing companies that give you access to this blockchain adoption and rollout. And you'll at least have some number of companies that benefit from that will make the ETF go up over time. So that's the second way, cloud computing companies. The third way that I would tell you that you can benefit from the adoption and rollout of a blockchain is to own various cryptocurrencies. Many of these cryptocurrencies do require you to have either an account with Coinbase or at least some fairly specialized crypto exchange like Binance or Kraken. So giving you single currencies, I believe, would not be in your interest. However, there is a kind of generalized way that you can get access to a few of these currencies, or at least get the benefit of cryptocurrency itself, even if not the actual application of blockchain, which is there's a asset management company called Grayscale, and they have what's called the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund. It has the ticker symbol GDLC. And this, I believe, gives you exposure to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and three other currencies that at the very least give you sort of like a general exposure. These are not the laser-focused exposure that you might want to blockchain technologies that are going to do what I talked about in my example about insurance. Nonetheless, it does give you at least a little bit of a toe into the cryptocurrency market. Now, I do have to warn you that these Grayscale trusts, that's what they are. They can trade at premiums relative to the underlying cryptocurrency, which is why I hesitate a little bit to tell you about it. Nonetheless, if you're looking for an option, this is one that is out there. It does come with various complications. If you're looking for actual cryptocurrency recommendations, we are starting a crypto service that is going to be led by my amazing colleague, Ian Dyer. This is going to be a trading service. So it's not going to be a buy and hold service. If you're interested in that, there's going to be a link below where you can sign up to get information about the service as we begin to roll it out. We're first going to send out some materials to sort of provide education about the crypto market itself, about the product itself. So if you're interested in that, sign up and then you'll get on our mailing list and we'll send you stuff out there. So that's the video for this week. In other words, blockchain spending, rollout, adoption is about to explode higher. And I believe that getting into it now will give you access to stocks and investments through semiconductors, through cloud computing, through crypto, that can really go up and go up a lot because we're at the very beginnings of this. So check into all of the ETFs and investments that I mentioned. And as I mentioned earlier, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up. That would help us out a lot. Subscribe to our channel and tell us below, are you already in blockchain? Are you in crypto? Do you own access to what I believe is going to be a massive, massive mega trend that really changes so much of our lives? So that's our video for this week. I'll have another one for you next week. Until then, this is Paul saying bye.